Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi met with Indian Foreign Minister Jaishankar on July 25, 2024 on the sidelines of the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting in Laos. The both leaders began meeting on the sidelines of every international meeting. Why don't they go to their respective countries to meet and discuss the bilateral issues? Because of BJP government stand that Indian top leaders will not visit Beijing on an official visit unless the issue is resolved, as Modi government has consistently said it would only hold bilateral talks about resolving the border standoff. Since the border crisis along the line of actual control began in April 2020, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi landed in New Delhi for an unannounced visit. Before landing in New Delhi, Wang made a surprise stopover in Kabul, the first visit from China since the Taliban's return. That followed his attendance at an Organization of Islamic Cooperation (OIC) summit in Islamabad. In Pakistan, he discussed with Prime Minister Imran Khan plans to extend the China-Pakistan economic corridor to Afghanistan. Mr. Wang, who arrived in Delhi on Thursday and met National Security Advisor Ajit Doval for an hour. Mr. Jaishankar told the media that their meeting had a broad and substantive agenda, and the talks were open and candid. He said he had conveyed our national sentiment on the border issue and that frictions and tensions that arise from China's deployment since April 2020 cannot be reconciled with a normal relationship between two neighbors. If you ask me, is our relationship normal today? My answer to you is, no, it is not, and it cannot be normal if the situation in the border areas is abnormal, Mr. Jaishankar replied to a question from The Hindu. On the border issue, the Chinese foreign minister said 2 years ago that it should be kept in an appropriate place in the relationship, a stand that is different from India's insistence that there be peace on the border for the rest of the relationship to develop. It was possible that sudden Wang's outreach stems from a desire to reopen a dialogue, as India and China found themselves at odds as no official communication initiation from Indian side. In a diplomatic relations, it's normal that when a leader from one side visits the counterpart in the respective country's capital, the response is a reciprocal visit to the counter nation. After Wang Yi's visit to New Delhi, there was no official visit Beijing by Indian government for more than 2 years. This is something abnormal approach to China, so China decided to meet Indian leaders outside India at the international conferences, as there is no reciprocity. From 2022 to 2024, the two leaders met at several international platforms to improve the bilateral relations. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi and Indian Foreign Minister Jaishankar met last week. During the discussions, the ministers addressed key bilateral and regional issues. They focused on the need to maintain peace and stability along the border areas, a topic of significant concern given the past tensions between the two countries. Additionally, they explored ways to enhance cooperation within the ASEAN framework and discussed broader regional developments and cooperation mechanisms. The meeting underscored the importance of dialogue and cooperation between China and India, especially in the context of their strategic and economic interests in the region. With a combined population of over 2.7 billion people, China and India are the world's most populous countries and two of the fastest-growing major economies. The changing relationship is important to global geopolitics. The China-India relationship is a delicate dance of cooperation and competition. Both countries recognize the benefits of economic cooperation and have made significant strides in recent years to strengthen trade and investment ties. China is India's largest trading partner, and China's exports to India have increased significantly in recent years. However, despite the growing economic interdependence, the relationship is also marked by intense competition and strategic rivalry. The biggest obstacle to deepen cooperation between China and India is the trust deficit that has developed over the years. The two countries have a long history of border disputes, which has left a deep scar on the relationship. The Doklam standoff, later face-offs, and skirmishes in the icy heights of Ladakh's Galwan Valley has only exacerbated the mistrust. Besides, China's growing presence in the Indian Ocean and its increasing influence in India's neighborhood have raised concerns in New Delhi about Beijing's intentions. India wants to benefit from China's economic growth and investment. It also needs to expand imports of intermediate goods, raw materials and machinery and equipment to ensure its expanding exports. India always opened for air cargo except passenger airlines. So India has also been placing more restrictions, such as no passenger airways, restrictions on Chinese investment due to its own national sentiments and misgivings about China's strategic objectives and impact on national security. At the same time, India has thoughts of replacing China in manufacturing. India's participation in the quadrilateral security dialogue with the US, Japan, and Australia is an indication of its interest in balancing China's influence in the region. Basically, there has been some misunderstandings and trust deficit with conspiracy theories spread in India and Western nations. What can be done to improve the relationship between China and India? They need to build trust by resolving border disputes and establishing clear communication channels to prevent misjudgments. They need to strengthen economic cooperation by signing more trade and investment agreements and promoting people-to-people exchanges. Finally, they must work together on global issues such as climate change, counter-terrorism, and non-proliferation to demonstrate our commitment to multilateralism and global governance. According to Professor Nageswar, the strategic positioning of the development of both sides, it is necessary to clearly recognize that they should not be overly influenced by the US strategic approach toward China. Instead of putting too much emphasis on each other's strategic competitiveness, it is important to weaken the hostile emotions between the two countries and make decisions more independently in the current geopolitical environment. This will help drive substantial progress in the relationship between the two countries. As the two countries continue to grow and evolve, it is essential that they work together to build trust, strengthen cooperation, and promote peace and stability in the region. Hope the both leaders will visit their respective nations reciprocally in the future instead of meeting outside New Delhi and Beijing.